Jump scare! You're scared now! Ha! Heks! Or The Heks! Whatever it is, released in 2020 and is directed by Rhian Schwartz, who is best known as an actress for her work with The Lullaby and D Pro, but is making her feature film debut with The Heks. I had a hell of a time looking up information about this movie because at one point it was listed as H-E-K-S, and the other point it was The H-E-X. And I didn't know if they were the same film or if they were different. And this film is starring Coco Lloyd, Marie Molef van Heerden, Marianne Barlow, Christopher Jofta, Ugani Nudodlov, Stephanie Sandows, Rowan-Raine Pretorius, and Andre Veltz. This was actually a screener that was presented to me from Twin Hearts, and I'll be submitting this review to the horror review site gingernutsofhorror.com, a great site where you can go to review a bunch of things horror-related, films, books, novels, TV shows, anything horror-related. Go over there, check them out. They're great. Hopefully they'll post this after this review, because this one was kind of a chore for me, to be honest. The Heks follows a grieving British girl who unravels her murdered mother's secrets connected to a South African witch doctor's curse. It happens in the first 5 minutes. This girl who is living in London is Skyping with her mother, and it's actually a pretty terrifying scene. We see her mother on the other side of the screen, and we just see these hands come around her throat and choke her to death. And this leads to a flash forward where the girl Delaney goes from London back to her roots in South Africa to kind of unravel and settle all of her mother's affairs, but is unraveling things that are strange, that may have caused things to happen to her mother that are maybe supernatural in some ways. Right off the bat, I would say that this film left a lot to be desired. There are some really great things here and some signs of really good directing and really good senses when it comes to the horror genre, but the overall plot, the overall story here has a lot of holes, and there's a lot of pacing issues that I'll get into here in a couple of minutes. Starting off with the positive, I think Coco Lloyd did a fine job in her role as Delaney. She's the lead character here. She was very likable in the role, and I need to fight the urge to call her Lloyd. It's just something that I do. I know it's Lloyd, but I just want to go Lloyd. Who puts two of the same consonants in front of the name when it's just spelled L? But I know that's just my own stupid thing. I think she does an admirable job with what she's given here. And I'll also say that some of the jump scares in here were terrifying and came out of nowhere, had me jumping out of my seat. The main issue of this film, though, is that this movie relies way too much on these jump scares. I get it, it's a horror movie. Jump scares are necessary when we get to horror films, especially when they're punched by an extra shriek of music. But when you do the same thing over and over and over again every 4 minutes, I get desensitized, and I know I'm not the only one. It lends me to believe that the only way that you know of how to try to attempt to scare the audience is by just putting jump scares out there. But there are so many other ways that you can terrify someone. Try telling a scary story. That's a good start. The best comparison I can make to this is, you remember that friend in high school or middle school who would say something funny or would steal something funny from another comedian, and he would recite that in class, and everyone would laugh the first time. And then, 5 minutes later, he would tell the exact same joke again, and he would chuckle a little bit because, yes, it's still hilarious, it's still entertaining, and he actually does a pretty good impression of it. But then, another 5 minutes later, he tells the same joke again, and you start thinking in the back of your mind, yeah, I know, you said that 5 minutes ago. It was funny then. And then another 5 minutes. He says the exact same joke again. And it continues all day in school where he just says this joke over and over and over again. Funny the first couple of times, but the more you beat the horse to death, it really becomes not funny. Same thing goes with horror and jump scares. Ooh, you did something scary in a certain way the first time. That startled me. I wasn't expecting it. Okay, here's a second time. Okay, it's still scary. Some of the makeup here, yes, I'm seeing it a little bit more now. Still terrifying. And then a third time happens, 4 minutes later. And you go, okay, are we going to see anything else here? Here's a spoiler alert. No, you are not. So this film relies way too much on jump scares, and the other aspect of this film that is just, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see, but I hate using this terminology because it's a term used by businesses and companies to try to drive, energy towards selling something, and it's complete bullshit, but there is no sense of urgency with this film. You will have all of these jump scares. You will have Delaney going into this old compound, looking through all of her mother's old stuff, old art, and old boxes, and tools everywhere in her shop, and scary, spiritual, supernatural things will happen. She's looking in a box, and out of nowhere, an actual hand pops out and grabs her. That is some fucked up shit, and anyone in their right mind who would think that would be out of their right of way. But the aftermath with a lot of these jump scares that we get, especially when it comes with Delaney's character, she sees the scary thing happen. She sees the jump scare happen, and then the next scene we see she's standing or she's sitting with another person of the staff of the house going, yeah, so this happened. I don't know what it was. This human hand popped out of a box and grabbed you. There was no one there in the room with you. Get the fuck out of that house. To quote Jenny from Forrest Gump, run, Forrest. Run. And the sad thing about it is that it just kept happening. A jump scare happens or something horrific happens in this film that in any other horror film would be terrifying, and those characters would probably scream and run out of the house or run to find someone to help them. These characters, though, they're sitting in the bathroom and then all of a sudden this ghost just appears in front of them. They may freak out and then they just go about their day, cleaning the house and going about their business because it's their job. What? It makes me question, what was the screenwriter thinking when they wrote this? Or what was the director thinking when they directed this? I just asked the question of when you're making this film and you're editing it after you've shot everything, do you realize that you don't have these connective scenes where the characters are reacting to what's happening and they're decompressing? What happened? Did you shoot those, or did we just forget to do that? And I don't mean to 100% bash this film. Again, there are some good things in here. There are some good tendencies that I'm seeing from the directing and from the cast, and some things from the storytelling, yes, but there are also some issues here that need refinement. The pacing of this film is way off. We have a jump scare, a moment of intensity, and then immediately the pacing, the energy just comes to an abrupt stop. The reactions, the storytelling here, it doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem like these are actual people in their right mind. This wouldn't happen. If a hand came out of a box and grabbed you and there was no one in the room, you would hightail it out of there. You would at least run out of the room, but that doesn't happen. It's little details like this that were just a complete miss throughout this entire film. And also this film's big selling point, and the thing that it was trying to just hammer home was, hey, this is a South African film. It was shot in South Africa, and it deals with a bunch of witch doctors, which there are like tens of thousands of witch doctors still in South Africa. They cause the majority of hospitals and diagnosis in that country. Witch doctors in South Africa. This is a South African picture. Okay. What else do you have? It'd be like me shooting a short film here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and me sending out emails and me sending out publicity for this short film saying, hey, it was shot in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Come see it. I wouldn't expect you to, because where the movie is shot, I don't care. What's the story? How are you going to intrigue me with the stories and the character? Cool. South Africa. Awesome. You don't see many pictures from that country. Cool. Again, what else do you have? The film to me is just a major disappointment. I was not into it at all. I was not buying these characters at all. All the jump scares that kept happening, the more that it kept happening, the more annoyed I would get. And I would think to myself, oh, here it comes. I guarantee in the next 5 minutes we're going to get another jump scare. Oh, hey, look, there's another one. I was right. There are moments when Delaney goes in and out of the real world and into this hallucinogenic, trippy type technicolor world thing that she goes into. I don't think it ever really resolves itself. It's just freaking weird, and it comes out of nowhere. Again, pacing. It's like, what the fuck happened? I would say give it a pass. I don't think it's anything special. It's cool it came from South Africa. It enlightened me a little bit on witch doctors, but I think there's a lot to be desired when it comes to the directing of this horror picture. When we're looking at scenes of the witch doctor itself, the camera just seems like, hey, it's on a tripod in the corner of the room. and it keeps cutting back in between, like 2 cameras on a tripod. There's no experimentation of different camera angles, especially when we get to more intense scenes of the witch doctor's hut. It's just, hey, camera in the corner, hey, camera in the other corner. That way we get 2 shots of our 2 main characters here, and that's it. Boring. Boring. I encourage the director to keep honing her skills. Again, there's some great stuff here. I just hope that she learns from this and develops her craft even more. That way we get better pictures from her in the future. I'm going to give the Heks, or Heks, 1.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
No, sir. I didn't like it.
Alright guys, now comes my favorite part of my videos where I randomly select which movie I'm going to be watching next, so let's take a look. Real Genius! I have never seen this film before, but it's another one that I own and have never watched. That's why this channel exists. I know it's a very young Val Kilmer, and I think he's like an Einstein in high school or something like that. I don't know, never seen it, but any chance I get to see a young Val Kilmer, I will gladly take. If any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, you can leave a recommendation below this video, or go to my Facebook page, my Instagram, or my Twitter, leave your recommendation there, and if I have access to it, I will watch, review it, and give you a shout on the channel. And if you want me to do your recommendation as quickly as I possibly can and bypass the whole random generator that I have here, you can make a PayPal donation on the main page of my YouTube channel. Any size donation will do, just attach your movie with the donation, and if I have access to it, I will watch it and publish my review of it as quickly as I possibly can. So guys, have you seen the Heks or Heks, whatever it is, whatever you thought, comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell so the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of Real Genius. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.